CJay, I hear through the grapevine that you have some questions about kind of this, section on the Wolves grading board, starting with Derrick Henry and moving on down. Is that accurate?
Yep. It's about, let me see, I think 12 running backs from Derrick Henry to Royce Freeman. So yeah, it was just, I think it's a really interesting group of running backs because those are all guys that have, I think, well, most of them have RB1 potential. Because you can have, I don't know, there's Derrick Henry, obviously, who's killed us the past 2 years. And then there's a lot of intriguing rookies. So I was just wondering, when I'm looking at the talent discrepancies, I think Royce Freeman's severely underrated in Ronald Jones. You know how much I love Ronald Jones. So I was just wondering why I think they should not be at the bottom of that tier compared to like Sony Michel, Derrius Guice, etc.
Okay.
Yeah, this is an interesting tier too, because it is just one of those tiers. There are gonna be a couple of RB1s that emerge from this, and if you hit those in those middle rounds, it's obviously an incredibly huge edge. So I'm glad you bring this tier up. To me, the main questions with Ronald Jones and Royce Freeman are right after they draft these guys, rather than be like, we found our guy, we're so excited to have them in. The team has gone and said, well, we have Peyton Barber. And obviously, is that legitimate? Is that just coach speak, making the rookie earn it? Most likely. But they've made those comments on multiple chances now. And same with Royce Freeman. Yeah, he's an early down thumper, but we have Devontae Booker he has to beat out, and all these. None of the teams have been like, all right, this is our guy, and we're super excited for him. And not that Sony Michel has had that happen yet either, nor will he ever, because we know what to expect with Patriots running backs. But I'd rather tie myself to a committee in New England where they've scored the second most running back points for 2 straight seasons as a team. They've scored the top 2 running back points in the league for fantasy versus the god-awful Broncos, the god-awful Bucks. We know how bad they fucked us last year with Doug Martin and us thinking that backfield actually had some value. Their line is god-awful in both situations. So I don't want either of those guys. Give me the guy in the Patriots' high-powered attack that could and probably will be used in the Dion Lewis role. I absolutely love that. So if we're talking about the rookie running backs, Sony Michel is head and shoulders, in my opinion, above those guys. Whether or not in talent-wise, I think he's the better talent too. But in just terms of everything else around him, I think Sony Michel is head and shoulders above those guys.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I was just looking basically at the talent. So you have Royce Freeman at a 19 and Ronald Jones at a 19. Then you have Sony Michel at 24. I think 5 points is kind of a lot of points.
A little steep. Okay. I'll reconsider. And I think 19 sounds a little bit low for those rookies too. I guess that's more – I grade rookies always a little bit lower unless I truly love them, just because I haven't seen it on an NFL field yet. But that does feel like it's lower than it needs to be, especially because I have like Nick Chubb at 20. I don't think he's better than those guys. So you're right. I think I need to reconsider those talents.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to rookies, a lot of them, like obviously you have Michelle and Nick Chubb, who went to Georgia and like were in the national title game and everything. And then you have the guys on the West Coast, like Ronald Jones and Royce Freeman, who put up monster numbers, but no one sees them play because they're at 11 o'clock. So,
well, for you in a bar, there's like guys walking by. Is that Alex Trakoff behind you?
Pretty much. That's what this place has become. No, it's Settlers of Catan night, so they're all kind of, the herd is starting to slowly walk in for Catan night. So yeah, do whatever, that's fine. Okay. But yeah, no, there'll be no bothers. It's actually a live audience. They love listening to the podcast. My hand's been sitting on the couch, just soaking in what we're saying this whole entire time.
Oh, good. Well, it's free, but you should also subscribe to the Wolfpack.
Absolutely. Make sure you're subscribing.
CJay, you got what else? You got any other beefs? Any other questions?
I am glad you mentioned Derrick Henry, though. I know this wasn't a direct question, but he's somebody that ended up grading out higher than I expected, higher than what I had him ranked, because of how much I love his talent. I think that really bumped him up. But also, the more I dig into LaFleur, and I'll have an article on this coming out this week, he keeps talking about how the run game is his foundation, and it backs it up when you look at his last 2 offenses where he's had his fingerprints on. One, both of them have led the league in scoring with the Rams and then the Falcons the year before. He was part of those coaching staffs that helped craft those offenses. And both of those offenses were towards the bottom half in the league in terms of run pass game percentage. So they were run heavier versus the rest of the league. I think it was like 54% pass versus 46% run, which was significantly different than league average. So I think the volume, I am actually discounting Henry and Lewis right now, even though I love both their talents. I can kind of see this being a Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram light type of situation where both guys approach 1,200 total yards. Henry gets closer to 9-10 touchdowns. Lewis gets the 50-60 catches. The Tennessee backfield in general, I'm just glad. I wanted a reason to talk about them, and you kind of gave me it. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts because I know you're down on them. I just think there's a lot more upside there that is going to go for a cheap price. Remember we called them like a good investing opportunity 2 years ago? I see this as a good investing opportunity. A committee shadow hangs over it, but there's really some serious upside underneath that silver lining. Has tons of upside potential, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know if after looking at it, and it's being like 2 months away from free agency or whatever. I think we were just so upset about the Derrick Henry situation that it kind of just it was an instant reaction to just like dive off of them.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to target either running back, but I don't know. Just like a situation that I'm kind of upset about. It's not as much. Yeah.
Dare we say salty about it?
Yeah, a little bit. A little sad.
And one guy who in this tier that you're mentioning, I'm glad Nat kind of forced me to update the rankings in terms of score, because one guy who was way out of this, not even close to these guys, but then after I did the grades, so like this grouping is kind of a mix of tier 5 and 6 and even some 7s. Rex Burkhead was a tier 9 running back in my rankings, and then after we resorted it with Nat, popped up all the way into like right in the smack dab middle with like 5s and 6 tier guys. So, I think I might have been way too harsh, similar to the knee jerk Derrick Henry reaction. Just like, damn it, Sony Michel's there. I wanted Burkhead to be the RB1 and he was going to just crush it. I still think he's going to be a huge value after grading him out. That's a guy that really jumped up in my rankings. Still, good enough talent, great usage in a high-powered offense. I think Burkhead could do some damage, and he's somebody that ended up grading out a lot higher than I expected.
And he's a favorable Belichick guy, so he'll still get probably 6+ touchdowns and whatnot.
Absolutely.
And then there was one that I was looking at a few days ago when you sent this to me. I think you did correct it, though, with David Njoku. I think he was a few days ago. He was like in the late 20s or mid 20s, and now he moved up to that area with like OJ Howard and Austin Seferian-Jenkins. So I feel like he's like well corrected now.
Yeah.
But yeah. Other than that, I think we have a lot of the same thoughts with talent and everything. So just that one running back area is the one that I was really looking at.
And that's such a hard one to sort through. So I'm glad you bring it up. And I look at that was when I was making these grades, that was one that just took me like 8 guys took me like 45 minutes to grade out, because I just couldn't be like, oh, well, now I got to go back to Derrius Guice because I gave Derrick Henry this score, and Guice is almost like a baby version. And that tier took me so long to grade out. And there's still tons to unfold in training camp with guys you mentioned, Ronald Jones and Royce Freeman. Let's say that opportunity bumps up. Let's say they're flying around the NFL field and showing they belong. Their talent scores could skyrocket. There's a few guys in that tier that might separate themselves and really just kind of join the Rashad Penny, Jay Ajayi, Kenyon Drake tier. I think there's definitely a few names on that list I could see jumping up and vaulting in there depending on how training camp and things are going.
I did see a note today about the Miami running backs, about how the starting job's still open up for grabs. I guess Ballage
what is
like,
that
looked
shit?
good in OTAs or something. So
yeah, like come on, Frank Gore, the corpse, is going to start over the guy that is the PFF all-time leader in yards after contact per attempt. Give me a break. It's Kenyon Drake's job. The guy is special. I don't know what they're doing. They're just playing hard to get right now. It's going to be Drake's job. He's going to dominate, and I think it's going to create a good value if people are actually going to buy into Frank Gore starting. Count me as a non-believer. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Nat? I know you're a Frank Gore truther.
I mean, I am a Frank Gore truther, but like Kenyon Drake should be the man. Like, let's not be stupid here. I mean, but Frank Gore, like if you told me at the end of the season, Frank Gore ran for 1,100 yards or something, it's not like it would be the most shocking thing in the world.
Wouldn't at all.
But I would certainly be going with Kenyon right now.
Yeah.
Respect to Frank Gore, though.
Absolutely.
All right, CJay, thanks for joining us. Quick question, just on the way out. Which would make you saltier, if LeBron came to the Celtics or if Tom Brady got traded to the Jets?
At this point in their careers, I'd say LeBron to the Celtics.
Wow. Less salty if Tom Brady went to the Jets. Wow.
I don't know what I'd do, man. That'd ruin my life, basically. I woke up with about like 60 replies to my Twitter after the Celtics lost the Cavs, so it wasn't great.
I mean, if LeBron came to the Celtics, they'd win a bunch of titles.
It'd be really tough.
It would be tough to do. You wouldn't want them.
I don't know. They wouldn't be. I mean, obviously the banners all look the same, but I don't know what I would do with myself.
All right. Well, hopefully we won't have to cross that bridge. It's been
hopefully not.
Fun having you on the show. You got any social media you want to throw out there? Any parting shots for the crowd? No,
just follow Roto Street Journal, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. So, yeah, we're working on that right now, making it better. Oh, yeah, our YouTube page, which we're starting to do well on. So.
It's clicking.
Yeah, I always
getting a lot of good interaction and getting a lot of subscribers now. So.
Yeah, our YouTube page is crushing. I always forget that I'm on kind of like a robot at our end of episode social medias. I need to start making sure I pump that. That thing is taken off. I absolutely love what the YouTube page is doing these days. It's great.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, CJay, thanks for coming on the show. See ya.
All right, see you guys.